feeling I can't describe what it is to be alive. And no matter how I try, it escapes me. Heart set afire, glowing, crackling wild. It stops me in my tracks, yeah, it wakes me. And I say, ooh, lift me up. I'm done being down. Ooh, wake me up. It's good to be found. I took a moment just for me, and hell, it felt like eternity. The grass had never looked so good on both sides of the street. All the facts were still the same, but just a whole lot less like shame. And I fell in love with the rough spots on my face and feet. Ooh, rise and shine. We only got today to be alive. Yeah, this life is mine, that I share it with you. So sit down for a while. What's the point of running from things we've already left behind? Ooh, don't hide. Promise I'll look forward if I can feel you there by my side. I love this feeling I can't describe what it means to be alive. No matter how I try, it escapes me. My heart's been set on fire, yeah, glowing, crackling, wild, and still stops me in my tracks. Sometimes it shakes me, and I say, ooh, lift me up. I'm done being down. Ooh, wake me up. It's good to be found. Ooh, rise and shine. We only got today to be alive. Yeah, this life is mine, and I'll live it with you.
Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist. Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Community Church. My name is Darby Fetzer, and I'm delighted to be your lay leader today. Our church building is on Shaver Road in Portage, Michigan, on the ancestral lands of the Peoria Potawatomi people. We pay our respects to the elders past, present, and emerging. It is the little brick church with a rainbow flag and the Black Lives Matter banner out in front, because we believe that love is love, and it is our responsibility to dismantle white supremacy and build a beloved community that benefits us all. Our church is served most Sundays by our minister, Reverend G. Ludwig McCartney. We are a community on diverse spiritual journeys, and on other Sundays, we enjoy hearing differing points of view from guest speakers, lay leaders, or as today, a guest minister. If you are joining us on Facebook,
Darby, you got muted.
okay. If you are joining us on Facebook for the first time, welcome. We're excited that you tuned in. We would love for you to attend the Zoom coffee hour following the service to get to know us better. You can find the link to coffee hour in the comments section of this video. To learn more about our church, including our programs for children and youth and other opportunities to connect with us during the week, visit our website at www.uucommunitychurch.org. Each month at UU Community Church, we have a different theme that we explore. In April, we've been talking about transformation and rebirth. Upcoming events, this Thursday, April 29th at 7 p.m., we will be joined by special guest Jennifer Teed, Special Justice Projects Coordinator with the Michigan Unitarian Universalist Social Justice Network. She is also an activist with the People's Water Board in Detroit and Michigan Coalition Against Tar Sands, and will be talking to us about the intersection between our UU values and environmental justice.
Good.
The following Thursday, May 6th, also at 7 p.m., we will be joined by Denise Keel, a member of the Western Michigan University Climate Change Working Group and chair of the Kalamazoo Climate Crisis Coalition. Both of these conversations should be very enlightening. Please join us to learn more about these groups and the work they're doing in the community. Information on how to join these virtual events can be found on our website, or you can contact us at uucommunity@gmail.com. Special thanks to everyone who is helping to make this morning's service possible. The musicians that we'll hear, our tech team, our guest minister, and you. Our guest minister today, Reverend Erin J. Walter, is a minister, activist, and musician based in Austin, Texas, and winner of the 2017 Sermon Award for the UU Women's Federation. A former YMCA director, Reverend Erin is the singer-songwriter for band Parker Woodland, whose music you'll get to hear later in the service. She serves as a board member for the Texas Unitarian Universalist Justice Ministry and the affiliated community minister of Wildflower Unitarian Universalist Church in Austin. You can find more about her music and ministry at erinwalter.com. Reverend Erin has intentionally chosen a wide variety of styles of music today, from rock and roll to a spiritual to an orchestra choir piece, in the hopes of reaching people's spirits in different ways. The volumes vary, so please adjust as needed for your hearing and comfort. You are always invited to sing and dance along from home. The spirit will be felt even on mute. Welcome, Reverend Erin J. Walter.
Thank you so much, Darby. And good morning, everyone. And thank you to your minister for sharing the virtual pulpit with me from Austin, Texas. I'm at home in my shed, in my yard. I like to call it my sparkle shed. In this past year plus, we've found that church can be anywhere. And sometimes I'm preaching from my daughter's bedroom because it has the best Wi-Fi in the house. And sometimes I'm in the community room of Wildflower Church in South Austin. And if anything, this has been a reminder of for us to take our values and live them in new ways. And so I'm so grateful to get to come as a silver lining and visit places that I wouldn't have been able to visit before and get to know you. I'm so happy to be here. I also want to say a bit of gratitude for being able to share my music with you. The prelude was also from my band, Parker Woodland. That was my voice, and those are my lyrics. I think music is a very important way that we express our spirits, and Austin is known as the live music capital of the world, but we haven't really been able to do that. So it is a gift to get to share with you. Thank you for this opportunity to be here. Our call to worship words this morning come from Elandria or E. Williams. They rose to the highest level of volunteer service in the Unitarian Universalist movement as a co-moderator of the UUA, our national association, from August 2017 to June 2020. Elandria was an incomparable leader, a joyous presence, a Black UU who grew up in our faith and sadly died last year at age 41. I encourage you later after the service to look up Elandria Williams and benefit from their legacy, their wisdom, their spirit. This excerpt is from We Are Worthy. We are worthy not because of what we produce, but because of who we are. We are divine bodies of light and darkness. You are not worthy because of what you offer, not because of what is in your mind, not for the support you give others, not for what you give at all. We are worthy and are whole just because. In that spirit of worthiness, welcome again to worship.
On this day around the world, Unitarian Universalists light the chalice. We are truth seekers. We seek a truth that is so strong it can withstand our questioning and our doubts. The flame reminds us of what we have in common here, and so we bring it to life. In the light of truth and the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share.
Hello, UU family. I'm going to sing a song with you called Shine on Me. It's an amazing spiritual that anybody can sing. And in these days when the things that we're dealing with, the feeling separate and all of that, and things seem so hard, this is one of those songs that you just throw your head back, put it in your medicine kit. All you have to do is ask. And here's how it goes. Shine on me, oh shine on me. Let the light from the lighthouse shine on me, oh shine on me, yes shine on me. Let the light from the lighthouse shine on me. Lift me up, oh, lift me up. Let the light from the lighthouse lift me up, oh, lift me up, yes, lift me up. Let the light from the lighthouse lift me up, oh, hold me close. Yes, hold me close. Let the light from the lighthouse hold me close. Yes, hold me close. So hold me close. Let the light from the lighthouse please hold me close. Oh, shine on me, shine on me, yes, shine on me. Let the light from the lighthouse shine on me. Oh, shine on me. Yes, shine on me. Let the light from the lighthouse shine on me. All you have to do is just ask. The light is always there. Always. Always. Love you.
Melanie Demore is another incredible person in our movement, and I encourage you to look them up online. A music activist. She is just a light in this world, and I love the way she says, put it in your medicine kit. So that song, Shine on Me, has been in my medicine kit for a while, and I want to tell you a couple things. Put a couple of things in your medicine kit during this time for all ages. First of all, I want to tell you about the first time that I heard that song, Shine on Me, at least the first I remember. I was training to be a minister. I was living in Oakland, California, and attending the First Unitarian Church of Oakland. And their music director, who was wonderful, he was leading the congregation. It was one of my first Sundays there, and he was leading the congregation and singing that hymn. And I thought it was so beautiful. And we made it through a couple verses, and then he kind of stopped things and he said, hold on a minute. We know this song. You all can do better than that. You can give it more than that. And he said it with such love, and the congregation laughed. And I thought it was so beautiful, and he was such a role model to me in how we can pause and ask ourselves to do better, to have more spirit without sort of saying, you know, making ourselves feel bad. We were able to kind of chuckle at ourselves and say, yeah, we can sing this better. And so that song and that experience of lovingly and humorously asking ourselves to do better has really stayed with me. And I used to sing that song to patients in the hospital when I was training to be a hospital chaplain. And I just always feel it in my medicine kit. So I invite you to think about, what are some of your favorite songs that you can sing to yourself when you need a little lift? And then another thing I want to share with you to put in your medicine kit is some affirmations. When I first started doing these Zoom church services back in the fall of last year, we were really getting started with the school year. I'm a mom. I have a 9-year-old and an 11-year-old who are still doing distance learning. Some kids are back in their schools, a lot of kids, and some kids are still home, including mine, because they have some medical vulnerabilities, and we really feel like we need to keep them home a little longer. But last fall, we were all kind of grappling with, what is this school year going to look like? Well, now that we're going into a second year of what is life like with the COVID-19 virus still out there, but things are changing, more people are getting vaccinated. What does this next year look like? I wanted to go back and share with you some affirmations that I found helpful last year, but maybe can be applied to sort of this new year that we have. And what these are is they're called affirmations as we move into distance learning. And a teacher shared them. Some of us may not be distance learning anymore, but I think these affirmations will be good for us for our toolkit for however we are living right now, whatever age you are. All right, because we're always learning, especially as UUs, we're always still learning, right? All right, so I'm going to read each one and then I'm going to pause and encourage you at home, wherever you're watching, however you're watching, to say these out loud, each one after me, like the kind of responsive readings we would do in church, okay? I'm trusting you. I'm going to hear it in spirit from Texas. All right, affirmations for you. Ready? The best I can do is my best. The best I can do is my best. How human of me to feel nervous about trying something new. I love that one. How human of me to feel nervous about trying something new. I will give myself the same grace I give others. That's a good one. I will give myself the same grace I give others. This is only temporary. This is only temporary. I can do difficult things. That's such a good mantra. Say it with me. I can do difficult things. Yes, you can. And then these last two. Put them in your medicine kit, like Melanie DeMore says. I don't have to have it all figured out to move forward. We say that with me. I don't have to have it all figured out to move forward. Unitarian Universalists like to have answers, don't we? But we don't have to have it all figured out to move forward because, last one, I will make mistakes and that is okay. I will make mistakes, and that is okay. I want to encourage you to pick one of those maybe as a mantra for this week and see how it feels, or write your own and see how that feels. Put those in your medicine kit. All right. So now, as the final part of the Time for All Ages, I'm going to share a song, another song with you that's in my medicine kit. And this is my theme song. It's called The World's on Fire and We Still Fall in Love. And you're going to see a video coming into my home. You're going to see my kids. You're going to see my community. But I think most importantly, you're going to see a lot of my medicine kit for joy. There are so many things happening in this little 3-minute video, just little ways to stay joyful. And this has been a really hard year and we don't know what the year ahead holds. So I want to encourage us today to think about what joy practices we have to hang on to even in hard times. Our topic today is no feeling is final. How are we going to get through when the feelings are hard? And then I want you to think about if this were a video of your community, who would be in it? Who are these important people in your life that you would show? And we'll talk about it more in this sermon. But I want to welcome you to my house in Austin, Texas via this video. It's rock and roll. It's a little loud. So if you need to turn it down, go ahead. But I encourage you to dance and sing along. The world's on fire and we still fall in love.
Joke or worse, they tell you it's your fault if you trust. But there's one thing I know, it's this: opposites do coexist, and the last thing they'll ever kill is the love. The world's on fire and we'll still fall in love. The world's on fire and we'll take a risk this time. It's a hard time to look for hope when the truth can feel like a joke or worse. They tell you it's your fault if you try. World's on fire and we'll still fall in love. The world's on fire and we'll still fall in love. The world's on fire and we're not giving up. No, no. The world's on fire and we'll still fall in love. The world's on fire and we'll still fall in love. The world's on fire and we'll still fall in love. The world's on fire and we'll still fall in love.
I have to tell you, that was the last time that I had my community in my home before the pandemic shut down. We didn't know when we gathered those people together for a video shoot party that that would be it. It was also the last time my bandmates and I, who I love dearly, have been able to play together like that. So when I watch that video, it's like a testament, a document of the best things in life, of community in person. And so it reminds me what we're fighting for when we are taking care of ourselves during this time, when we are trying to stay connected through Zoom and through other safe ways. It reminds me what we are fighting to get back to. And it's emotional, because I don't know about your community, but I can only imagine that you've been through a lot of what we've been through. People in that video have had COVID this year. Thankfully, they've made it through. People in that video have gone through divorce this year. It's been heartbreaking. We've missed each other. You saw my son wearing his YMCA sports jersey. I lost my job at the YMCA to the pandemic. About 75% of our YMCA staff lost their jobs because there just wasn't funding anymore. So it's been a really hard year. And I look at that video and I see so much joy in little things: pancakes, bubbles, wigs, trampoline, just shimmying a little bit of dance can go a long way. And I've actually been teaching a dance class every week for use around the country over Zoom, and we can connect about that later. But just finding ways to keep your joy practices going even in hard times is what we're going to talk more about today. So I hope as you watch that video, you got some sparks of who you're going to have and what you're going to do when you can gather people together again. And then I want you to think about how you can safely do it now, because joy is not something that we should put off. I want to read to you a short excerpt from a piece by Arundhati Roy, an Indian activist and author who has characterized pandemics as a portal. Here's this piece. She says, historically, pandemics have forced humans to break with the past and imagine their world anew. This one is no different. It is a portal, a gateway between one world and the next. We can choose to walk through it, dragging the carcasses of our prejudice and hatred, our avarice, our databanks and dead ideas, our dead rivers and smoky skies behind us. Or we can walk through lightly with little luggage, ready to imagine another world and ready to fight for it. I love that. And the phrase little luggage walk through lightly. I'm putting those in my spiritual medicine kit, just like Melanie DeMore said about Shine on Me, little luggage. So what are you hoping to take through into this next chapter? We've survived a year plus. People are starting to get vaccinated, but there are still new strains. There are still many areas where the COVID numbers are high. What are you going to bring through into this second and different, perhaps, year and the other side of this portal to make sure that even though the world is on fire, even though there are struggles, that we still have love, we still have beauty, we still have joy? Which things can you bring through? And what could you leave behind? I'll say this, sometimes there are things that serve us for a time, but we can also let them go when they're not serving us anymore. Just as an example, that paint that you saw on my glass walls that the kids did, the hand paint, finger paint, and I love that they made a heart. With that being the last time I had people in my home, I did not wash that paint off my glass for about 6 months. I let it dry, I let it bake in the Texas sun. It was a reminder of those people that I love and how it feels to be together, and I didn't want to let it go. Then finally, one day in August of last year, my mom and I washed it off. And I have to tell you, the sunlight that came in, the view of my yard, of the world, it was so big again. And so I want to invite you to think about things that you might be able to let go to have a broader, clearer view of what's to come. As I'm going through the portal, I've been taking with me and cherishing this poem, which is where the title of our sermon, No Feeling is Final, comes from. It's a poem by the Austro-Hungarian poet Rainer Maria Rilke, translated from German to English. The title is Go to the Limits of Your Longing. And Rilke talks about God in this poem, and so I invite you to connect with whatever feels holy, divine, or deepest to you. Unitarian Universalists hold such a broad understanding of the divine, or what we hold sacred, and so I invite you into the God language from wherever you're coming from. This is Rilke. God speaks to each of us as he makes us, then walks with us silently out of the night. These are the words we dimly hear. You, sent out beyond your recall, go to the limits of your longing. Embody me. Flare up like a flame and make big shadows I can move in. Let everything happen to you, beauty and terror. Just keep going. No feeling is final. Don't let yourself lose me. Nearby is the country they call life. You will know it by its seriousness. Give me your hand. Now, I still get choked up reading this poem because there's so much here that relates to life right now for me. Give me your hand. Have we learned to appreciate the gift of holding someone's hand, of an embrace? I often just want to reach through the computer and hug you the way we would if we were together in person. And at the same time, this is in the interest of a deeper embrace when it is safe. We know the seriousness of this country we call life, more so than ever, I think. And I have felt this year sent to the limits of my longing so many times. Just when I think I've been pushed, I've lost more than I could lose. My job, being able to dance with people in person, being able to play live music in person, my children being with their friends in school, all of these things, there'll be one more nudge beyond what I thought was my limit. We are finding where our strengths are. We are finding where our resilience is. And as Rilke says, we are living testament that no feeling is final. A friend sent me this because of that line, and I've clung to it. No feeling is final. And I used to think that that was meant as a reminder that sadness, grief, fear could not and would not last forever. And I still know that to be true. Any feeling, any grief, hold on. Imagine holding the hand of the divine. Hold on. And it is not final. It is not forever. But here's the other thing that I feel like I've learned this year and that I want to impart to you. No feeling is final also applies to joy. And I don't love that. When I'm feeling joy, I want it to last forever. But of course it doesn't. The joy in that video, we didn't know that there was going to be that shutdown, that sheltering in place, that pandemic right around the corner. We didn't know. And so often I think we hide our light under a bushel, right? That lighthouse that we can be for each other, that joy that we can be, the contagious joy. We hide it because we know that the world is on fire. We know that there's so much suffering. We feel guilty. We feel bad. We don't want to rub it in another person's face that we're happy in this moment, that something good has happened to us. But that joy is not final either, and people need it. So I want to encourage you to be a lighthouse, to share, to shine, to let your joy be seen and let it be contagious for someone else, because we just don't know how long we're going to have that either. Another piece of this Rilke poem that I want to make sure I share with you, that I highlight, that I have come to cherish, is this part. When the divine says to go to the limits of your longing, they say, embody me, flare up like a flame and make big shadows I can move in. And what I love about that is the reminder that when things are hard, in those shadows, there is God. There is the divine. There is your community. There is your truth. However you hold something holy, it's there in the darkness. And what that means is that we are never alone and that darkness is beautiful. So what I want you to do, I'm trying to learn to do this, to bring through the portal with me beauty language about darkness, because that affects how we show up around racial justice. We need beauty and divine sacred language around darkness, blackness, brownness. And this poem is that. Flare up like a flame and make big shadows I can move in. So Reverend Meg Barnhouse, who is the parish minister at First UU, the senior minister at First UU here in Austin, I have seen her use the phrase divine light and sacred dark. So often we use light as a positive and then dark as a negative in our metaphors. But let's do what Elandria Williams did in that call to worship. And let's do what I've heard Meg do, which is say divine light and sacred dark, holding both light and dark as pieces of the divine, of beauty. I want to bring that with me through the portal. It helps me remember that some of the best things come from darkness. The womb is dark. We have a new baby in the family born on Wednesday to my sister-in-law, and life comes from the darkness of the womb. It's Earth Day season, it's spring, and the seeds are bursting forth from the rich, fertile darkness of soil. The full moon is there with us in the dark night. So I invite you to remember that. It has been, we always hear the metaphor, the dark night of the soul, but it has been a hard year. And so remembering that there is so much beauty, that when the world is on fire, we still fall in love. that in the darkness, the divine is with us and no feeling is final. Lastly, as we think about the joy practices we're bringing through the portal, I want to share just one short bit of scripture with you. This is the poverty and justice edition of the Bible. Now, I grew up Unitarian Universalist here in Austin and did not get a lot of Bible in my church. And so when I wanted to be a community minister and an interfaith chaplain and activist in interfaith spaces, I knew that I was going to need to have better spiritual literacy around different texts. And certainly the Bible is one of those that I felt I needed to understand better. And then I heard that the Reverend Dr. William Barber, one of our great racial justice activists in the US out of North Carolina, used this version. And I said, well, I'm getting that one. And what I love about it, friends, I love to highlight books. The nerd in me still highlights even fiction, but I didn't highlight this. This book comes highlighted already with passages that relate to poverty and justice. So I commend this version to you if you're looking for one or you want to deepen or just begin to engage with the Bible. But the piece I'm going to read to you comes from Exodus, which the feminist scholar Carol Myers argues may be the most important book of the Bible. And you may know the story. The Israelites are on the long, hard journey from slavery to the promised land, through the wilderness, through the desert. They could not have brought much. I'm reminded of Arundhati Roy's phrase, little luggage. They could not have brought much. And yet in this piece, we're going to hear about something very special that they did bring. The Song of Miriam, chapter 16, verses 19 through 21. After the Israelites had walked safely through on dry ground, Miriam, the sister of Aaron, was a prophet. So she took her tambourine and led the other women out to play their tambourines and to dance. Then she sang to them. When this piece came into my life, I have to tell you, there is nothing like being seen, nothing like having an example of what you love honored. And here we have a woman in an important role. Miriam was a prophet, so she brought her tambourine and led the other women out to play and to dance. As my friend Mandy McGlynn says, can you imagine what it took to pack a tambourine in the dark of night to escape? In this story, it brings tears to my eyes, not just to escape, but to somehow silently pack tambourines. It's incredible. What a commitment to joy. What a commitment to music, to the arts, to dancing that these women had. Because Miriam had hers and the women had their tambourines too. And here's for you word nerds out there, and a lot of you use, I think, are proud word nerds. I am. I was a newspaper reporter before I was a minister. There's a 2-letter word in here that I want to lift up to you before we go. And it's the word so. Miriam was a prophet, so she took her tambourine and led the women out to dance. Not Miriam was a prophet and they tolerated her tambourine. Not Miriam was a prophet, oh, and by the way, she had a tambourine. Miriam was a prophet, so she had a tambourine. And so what I want to leave you with is this. I believe every one of us as human beings, and certainly every one of us as Unitarian Universalists, have a prophetic message in this life to share. Maybe you only know what it is, and I don't quite know what yours is. And I hope you share it, but I know that you have the message that you are loved, that you are worthy, that light and dark are both divine. And we need to share it. We need to invite people to church. If you can have a minister come to church from Texas, you can invite anyone, anywhere to come to this church. And so what if they only come 1 or 2 times because they live in Bulgaria? Let them see what the love of this community is so that they can then be inspired to find it where they live, on or off Zoom. Let them see it. My other stole is a rainbow stole. There are people out there who've never seen a minister wear a rainbow, and they still need to hear it and see it and be invited. And so what I say to you as a Unitarian Universalist, do it with joy. When people get here, let it not just be that the world's on fire. Let us also show the love, the joy that people need to feel. What is your tambourine? What is your instrument of joy? What is your instrument of inclusion? And please be sharing it. Bring it through the pandemic. If you put one thing in your luggage when you come through the portal, let it be an instrument of joy. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Reverend Erin, for this celebratory party this morning. So inspiring for the soul. And let's see here. Our lives have been graced by many gifts. If you desire and are able to donate to our church, which still has the same, just a minute, which still has the same expenses as pre-COVID-19. There are a few ways to do that. You may mail a check to our building. You may give electronically through our church website, or you can give using the Give Plus app on a smartphone or tablet. Your donations are sincerely appreciated and allow us to continue carrying this life-giving message into the wider world.
No storm can shake my inmost heart, while to that rock I'm clinging, since love prevails in heaven and earth. How can I keep from singing? Shake my inmost
Wow, that's a hard one for me. I'm really missing the choir right now. Oh, so we're going to extinguish the chalice. As we extinguish the chalice, let us remember to keep the flame awake and alive in our souls, and let the light of the chalice bind us together, showing us the way. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Thank you, Darby. I want to thank Darby and everyone on the team. What an incredible group of people you have making this possible for us to come together. I'm so thankful. And so in that spirit of gratitude, I invite you, and it's always by invitation, consent, but I invite you wherever you are to put your hands out. If you are in a room with someone else whose hand you can hold, like in the Rilke poem, give me your hand, if they are willing, I invite you to hold hands and just to savor what a gift to be able to do that we never take it for granted again. And for those of us who are alone in the room like I am, let us feel the joy and be thankful for the people who do get to hold hands. Let us receive their joy and not expect them to hide it. And then let us envision whose hand we want to hold when we can be together, like in the music video or in church again. I enter into a spirit of prayer. Spirit of life and love, our God of many names, beyond knowing, beyond man-made borders, speaking in all languages, I give thanks. Thank you for this community, for the opportunity to connect and to share our spirits, our tambourines, our joy. For anyone who is grieving today, may they feel the divine in the shadows with them. For anyone who is depressed or anxious or struggling, may they feel the divine in the shadows with them. And for those of us who are joyful, let us share it and let us know that no feeling is final. Thank you for this life. Thank you for this day. Thank you for these people. Blessed be.